So Yahawah willing, man, we'll go ahead and iron all of this out, right? And get everybody on page with understanding exactly where we are. It's important to understand where we are in prophecy. All right. Now we remember the most famous Hebrew Israelite among us, before his fall. Just before his fall, he was, erroneously trying to convince everybody that, we were a long way away, maybe 1,000 years away from Yahawashi's return, right? And that was probably like the last straw for the Most High, and then he had to be dealt with because the Most High didn't like the fact that, what that he was teaching that fallacy, because that could have a detrimental effect on people's faith, right? On people's walk, having that misunderstanding, that misconception in their minds, right? And so he had to be stopped. His mouth had to be stopped. All right. He had to be shown to be somebody not worth listening to. Now, in the same way, you got a lot of brothers, man, who are out here. They're on the wrong boat when it pertains to this Jacob's trouble conversation. You hear them all the time, right? Jacob's trouble is coming. We're waiting on Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble. Right now, I'm not one of these people who are going to tell you that Jacob's trouble doesn't exist. Jacob's trouble absolutely exists. But where we differ is where they believe that Jacob's trouble is a time in the future that hasn't happened yet. And I believe that we are already in the midst of Jacob's trouble. All right. This is the difference. All right. They think it's some sort of later, greater time of affliction to come for us. And I believe that we have been under this great time of affliction already. We're not waiting for things to get worse for us. We're waiting for things to get better for us. That's the difference, right? They think that we're, again, waiting on things to just get drastically worse. Like, how much worse can things get for us? Like, we've been through the worst of the worst of the worst as a people. And sometimes I wonder, it's like, do you guys not remember history? Are you guys conveniently forgetting history? All right. So again, today I want to address the misconception in this awakening. All right. Um, because the truth is that, like I said, Jacob's trouble began long ago. When did it begin? It began in 70 AD when the Romans came and destroyed the city and destroyed Jerusalem and destroyed the temple. That was the beginning of our trouble, right? When you read Josephus and he tells you about the incident and how it happened, and how they can hear the spirits, right, leaving the temple. They can hear the call saying to leave this place, right? That was the time when the Most High turned his back on us and left us. That was the beginning of our trouble. Let's just think about it. If we were the people that had the Most High with them, and then the day when he turns his back and says, I'm done with them, and he leaves, don't you think that would be the beginning of our trouble? Doesn't it make sense? Stand the reason that that would be the beginning of our trouble, the day when the Most High withdraws his protection from us, when he removes himself, when he turns his face from us, right? When he pulls his angels out of the city, out of the temple, say, get out of there, taking away their hedge of protection. Don't you think that would be the beginning of Jacob's trouble? Right? So the scriptures tell us that before deliverance, right, comes trial. All right, there's the furnace of affliction spoke about, right? The refining fire, the carrying of our cross, the endurance of tribulation, right? Well, we've been going through all of this since 70 AD. We're not waiting for another time to come when we're going to be afflicted, where we're going to get refined in the fire, where we're going to have to carry our cross, right? When we have to endure persecution and oppression, right? Death and so forth, poverty and everything else. We've been through that. We're going through that, all right? Endurance of tribulation. We've been in tribulation, and we've had to have endurance in order to make it this far, because we would have been destroyed. We would have been consumed otherwise. All right. So I want to walk through the scriptures so that we can understand where we are in prophecy and how we got to live in these final days. But just a second before I get too much in the scriptures. Well, before I go too much further, Let's give all praise, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, Yahawah, in the name of our beloved King, Hamashiach Yahawashi, and in the name of his Holy Spirit. We thank him for his love, his grace, his mercy, for increasing our knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, for causing us to abound in the fruits of the Spirit. We're thankful for every day that we have him in our lives. We're thankful for his presence, his covering, and all of his provision for everything that he has done, is doing, and has in store for us. All right. All praise, honor, and glory is due to our Abba Yahawah Bahashem Hamashiach Yahawashi Wahabra Wadash. Okay, so like I said, some people forget about history, man. So think about it. All right. 70 AD, right? The Romans come, they surround the city. All right. They start killing and destroying. All right. Now, this is when the Levitical priesthood ended. All right, the temple was destroyed. Temple came down. Our temple's gone. Our Levitical priesthood is gone. Our relationship with our power is gone. Right? That sounds like the beginning of trouble, right? So then the people had to scatter. Some people scattered before because they knew the prophecy. They remember what Yahawashi said and what to look for. And when that time came, when they saw it, they got out of there. All right, so our people start scattering. Some, remain in territories of Roman control. All right, being slaves there, right? Being servants there. All right, many fled into Africa. Many went into Europe. Many went into Asia. All right. And everywhere they went, they prospered there for a short time. And then they became the tail in those places. They became the bottom in those places. All right. So you got Israelites now still in all of those places, but they are the tail of society. We are the tail. Everywhere we are the bottom there. And that's what happened. Our people went and then they became the bottom. They became the oppressed. They became the hated because our people are ingenious, right? And we have, again, we are the children of the Most High. So we create, we build, we're nation builders, right? Inventors, right? And so our people began to get up high in all of the places where they went, and then jealousy caused the natives of those lands to get upset with us and to either try to drive us out or to try to take away everything from us and put us beneath them. See what happened in America, in the United States, with Black Wall Street and Rosewood and all of the other countless communities that our people built. That wasn't nothing new. Remember, nothing new under the sun. This happened to us everywhere we went. All right. The other people, the non-Israelites, they would see us building and doing our own thing, and they would get jealous. They would get jealous and they would posse up, right? And they would come to take what we had, what we built, to come to take our wealth, to run us out. This happened everywhere. All right. It happened in India, it happened all throughout Asia, happened in Europe. The Moors contributed, teamed up with the Caucasian Europeans, right, against us. And then they turned on them too. But this is what happened, right? Our people were the ones who were ran out of Spain and Portugal and into the west coast of Africa, right? Why? Because they were building, they were too rich. They had everything. And the natives, man, they got jealous. They were upset. It was like, man, these people gotta go, man. Right? They got all the money, they got all the wealth, they got all these businesses and everything else, man. They gotta go. We can't even thrive because these people. See, and this again, it's the same thing why these people don't want to give us any reparations now. Because when we thrive, they don't. Remember, it's a seesaw effect, right? These other nations can't be up when we're up, and we can't be up when they're up. One has to be down and one has to be up. So we have to be brought down for the others to be brought up. This has happened to us everywhere we went. All right. So everywhere we went, we suffered persecution and oppression, enslavement, right? Murder and death and being separated from families everywhere, fam. Everywhere. This happened to us. This didn't just start with the transatlantic slave trade. All right. It just continued there. Right? Families being separated, children being separated, right? The Europeans coming in and coming in and saying, we're going to convert them we're going to make them have to become Catholics or Christians and to worship Jesus. And a lot of our people didn't want to do that. And so they was burning people, man, burning them at the stake if they refused to convert. right? The Muslims was doing the same thing. You got the Arab slave trade, right? That's how a lot of our people became Muslims. They got into Islam, right? Because they were converted or they were killed, right? That Arab slave trade was horrendous, fam. Do y'all understand how bad that Arab slave trade was? The sub-Saharan slave trade was? Do you understand that trans-Saharan slave trade? Do you understand how horrible those things were? What our people experienced, right? And the Hamites, teaming up with the Europeans to help kick off the transatlantic slave trade, right? All the rape, robbery, murder our people had to go through, the great oppression we had to experience, the intense slavery, the chattel slavery, the slavery that was unlike any other slavery, right? Kids being used for alligator bait and our people, having their teeth taken out so that the Europeans can have dentures and right. I mean, just many and many, many unspeakable acts, right? Jim Crow and redlining and just Willie lynching and just all of this, right? Us being lynched and strange fruit, right? Having your families broken up and women and children taken from the husbands and husbands taken away from the women and children and having another man take your wife in front of you and you being buck broken in front of your family, in front of the whole community, right? Being forced to fight each other like animals for their show, for their spectacle to the death and having to kill your brothers, right? Being on what do you call them? Oh man, wow, I'm losing it. All the different type of farms they had, breeding farms. There we go, breeding farms, and being forced to sleep with your mother, and all they did all of this kind of stuff. All of this kind of stuff happened with our people, right? Not being able to enjoy the fruits of their labor, being given scraps to eat, right? Come on down the line and they having all of these fairs and at the fair when they have the one attraction where a person is sitting on like this little device, right, and you having to throw the ball to hit this lever, and when you hit it the person falls into the water, right. What about early in the day when they first created these, they had like black babies. They would put black babies up, right? And that lever that you had to hit with the ball, they would stick a black baby, their faces through that little hole, right? And they would get professional baseball players, right, to come out to come play and to come launch fastballs at the babies' faces, at their heads, killing them, cracking their skulls and their faces open, right? We've been through unspeakable acts of violence, unspeakable acts of oppression, unspeakable trouble. You think we're waiting? We're on a greater time of trouble than what we've gone through already? Are you serious? You see us now. Look at us, man. How do you think we got here? Look at our people. Look at the state of us. No one was ever able to help us. Every attempt failed because they infiltrated and they sabotaged us. They didn't allow us to get up out of our predicament, right? They kept us down, held us down every chance they got. Our enslaved, our poverty, all of that. This is by their design. They created the ghettos and they created our impoverished predicament, right? The gang banging, all of that, that's created. The government created that. Dropping drugs in our neighborhoods and creating drug addicted mothers and children in the womb and fathers and mass incarceration, imprisonment, and like, are y'all listening? Right? Poverty, having to be on welfare, and like, are y'all listening? This is trouble. This was the time of Jacob's trouble. It started in 70 AD and it has continued until now. We are still in it. So again, don't let these people, man, their ignorance try to convince you that we are waiting on Jacob's trouble to begin. No, we are waiting for the scripture to be true that talks about our salvation. But let's go ahead and go from all of this commentary now to let's get into the scriptures. Jeremiah 30. Verse 7. It says, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. Remember, a day is as 1,000 years, right? So that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So this is where we're waiting for. We're not waiting for Jacob's trouble to begin. We're waiting for it to end. We have been experiencing that time of trouble that is great, that to where none has ever been like it. There's never been a time like this for any people under the sun. Like if we have gone through, I don't care what anybody says. Everybody want to try to play the victim Olympics game, but nobody's trouble compares to ours. Nobody's history, right? And hardship compares to ours. Don't matter who they are, no matter what they say. There is no comparison, right? And so again, we're waiting for this time to end. So many think that this is a future event, but Jeremiah was prophesying the long, drawn out time of captivity, scattering, and oppression. Not a short window of time that's going to come when, when our people are going to be getting killed. I mean, how is that different? How is our people being killed in the future any different from all the killing we've had to experience, all the violence against us we've had to experience since 70 AD? How is it going to be any different? You think there's going to be a new brand of killing that's going to happen that we haven't experienced? Man, we've experienced being killed in every way imaginable, fam. Every way imaginable. The only thing that can happen different now that hasn't happened is what? Maybe being killed by robots, right? Or some new disease that they got. But we've been killed by diseases. They've used diseases and plagues to kill us before. All right. So again, all of this stuff started when we lost our kingdom, right? That day, it says, that day is right. That day started when Jerusalem was destroyed in 70 AD, when the temple was burned, right? When the Levitical priesthood was disbanded and we were scattered into captivity worldwide. That began our worldwide captivity, spreading out throughout the whole earth. That's when it began. That's when our trouble began. You see, verse 8 says, for it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. This is what we're waiting for, to be saved out of our trouble, right? We're waiting for the yoke of our enemies to be taken from off our necks, right? For our bonds to be burst, to be destroyed, and for strangers to no more serve themselves of us. That's what's happening in our trouble. Remember, listen, he's describing the trouble. In the trouble, the yoke of our enemies will be on our necks, right? We'll be in bondage, right? And strangers will be serving themselves of us. That's not a time to come. That time has been already. We're waiting for it to end. But they don't understand because they're confusing Jacob's trouble with the hour of temptation that is to come upon all the inhabitants of the earth, not upon Israel. Israel isn't waiting for a special brand of trouble to come for us. We're waiting for our trouble to end, and there's a special brand of trouble coming upon the whole earth. That's what we're waiting on, when all of the earth is being judged. All of the prophecies tell us about, the end time, when us being saved and delivered and our enemies having the trouble turn to them. We're waiting for our enemy's great time of trouble to begin and ours to end, not for ours to begin. Again, if you think ours hasn't began yet, what has this been that we've been going through all of this time? It's simply ridiculous. But they keep saying it, and they think that those of us who are saying the opposite, that we're the bug outs, we're the ignorant ones. That's what they believe. We're the ignorant ones, And they got it. They all got it. They're the smart ones. They're the smart ones because they know for a fact that there is a greater time of trouble for Israel, unlike any time there has ever been. Okay. Again, the scriptures don't support that. They say it. Scriptures say prove all things. They can't prove that though. Right. But with common sense and just knowing history, I can prove that they're wrong. All right. Luke 21, verse 20 says, and when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance. The vengeance on who? On Israel. These are the days where vengeance will come upon Israel from the Most High. Sounds like trouble, right? If we are experiencing the Most High's vengeance, are we not experiencing trouble? So 70 AD is called the days of vengeance, right? And again, the days of vengeance, days. A day is as 1,000 years, right? Here we are 2,000 years later, right? We're within the 2,000 year time frame since that happened, right? Right? Absolutely. So we are literally in the days of vengeance. We are in the time of Jacob's trouble. All right. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. All right. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. This is our trouble. This is our trouble beginning. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles shall be fulfilled. This sounds like our trouble beginning, doesn't it? Sounds like the time of Jacob's trouble starting, doesn't it? Because it is. That's why. It sounds like that because that's exactly what it is. All right. So Yahawashi warned us directly. All right. The siege of Jerusalem equals the beginning of Jacob's trouble. From that moment forward, we were scattered, enslaved, and dominated. All right. We are waiting to be saved out of it, not waiting for it to begin. All right. This shouldn't be a back and forth with people who call themselves well studied, enlightened. We should all be in agreement with this. We should all be in agreement with this fact, with this fact. This ain't what I think or what I believe. This is the facts of the matter. These are the facts of the matter. Okay? But you got people who say they got the 100% truth that are just constantly wrong about stuff. And it's not a problem that they're wrong. The problem is that they're not humble. They're telling everybody they got the 100% truth and everybody else is wrong. Everybody who don't believe as they believe, we're all wrong and they got it all right. It's not possible for anybody else to have something right and for them to have it wrong. No, they got all the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And the rest of us are just peasants in this walk, you know what I'm saying, who need to be led of them. It's time for everybody to humble themselves and to learn to be taught, because even teachers need to be taught sometime. And there's a lot of teachers who need to be taught. Y'all got this wrong, brothers. Brothers, you got it wrong. It's okay to say, you know what, we had it wrong. It's okay to admit it. A real man can admit when he's wrong, right? To not admit that you're wrong in the face of a avalanche of proof is effeminate. Right? It's feminine energy, fam. That's what you're walking in. All right. And no effeminate man shall enter into the kingdom. Be careful. All right. So let's go to Isaiah now, 48. Let's get verse 10. Behold, I have refined thee, but not with silver. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. That's what I want to talk about now, right? The furnace of affliction, right? That was appointed unto Israel. All right. This is our trouble. If we're in a furnace of affliction, we're in a time of trouble, right? We're experiencing trouble, aren't we? So you wouldn't call being in a furnace, if you were in a literal furnace, would you consider yourself to be in deep trouble? Would you be in trouble? Would your life be troubled at all with being in a literal fire? Okay, now we're not in a literal fire, but a figurative one. So just the same, right? We are in a state of trouble, right? A time of being troubled as a nation. Are we not? Being on the bottom, is that not a state of being in trouble? Slavery, a state of trouble, right? Everything that we've gone through, a state of trouble, right? Okay. So Yahawah doesn't choose his elect through comfort, right? He chooses us through affliction. We've been experiencing our great time of affliction. He's been refining us all this time through trouble, through our trouble, right? Putting us in a furnace of affliction, right? He's been refining us and choosing us through our troubles, through our afflictions. All right. So this affliction burns out impurities, right? Pride, rebellion, idolatry, right? It's the refining fire, right? The refining fire that prepares us to inherit the kingdom. We're not waiting for another time to come for him to prepare us for the kingdom. We've been getting prepared for the kingdom through our troubles. We must through great tribulation enter the kingdom, right? We've been going through our great tribulation, fam. We're not waiting for it to begin. If you believe we're waiting for it to begin, it's because you have forgotten history, right? You're living right now and you're thinking, hey, this isn't too bad, we got it great. You don't realize, you know, that you have been in afflictions. All right. You're not so you don't have any recollection of persecutions or oppression. So you don't realize that we've been through great trouble. Try to go back and talk to your ancestors when they were going through all of these different things and tell them that there's a greater time of trouble coming than the trouble that they were experiencing. Go tell them that what they're experiencing, you ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing yet. Go back and tell when your ancestors hanging from a tree, you ain't seen nothing yet. There's a greater time of trouble than this. Just be glad you ain't in that time yet. Wow. Okay. Okay. Sure. All right. That's the position of the ignorant, of the unlearned, or of those who have taken the bag to lie, to try to get Israel in this spirit of fear that we're constantly told to not be in. Right? We're supposed to have this great hope for our salvation and deliverance, this great hope of redemption, not a great fear of a worse time coming than we've ever known. Oops, no, not second Ezra. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 3, verse 4 reads, for though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immortality. You see, all of these years through our trouble, we've been punished in the sight of men, but our hope is full of immortality. Our hope isn't filled with more trouble coming. All of the trouble that we've been experiencing, all of the punishment that we've been receiving from the Most High all of these years, you think there's a greater time ahead of us of trouble? That's what we're supposed to look forward to, a greater trouble. No, we're supposed to look forward to a great hope of immortality. All right. Having been a little chastised, they shall be greatly rewarded. We have been a little chastised. We are waiting to be greatly rewarded. We're not waiting to be chastised even more. We're not waiting for greater trouble. Listen, for the Most High proved them and found them worthy for himself. That's what our trouble has been about. That's what we have been going through. All right. Verse 6. As gold in the furnace hath he tried them and received them as a burnt offering. This is what we've been going through. He's been trying us, testing us as gold in a furnace. All right, he's been purging out our impurities, generation after generation, trouble after trouble. All right. So the righteous must be tried like gold. All right. You can't skip the fire. And we didn't. We did not skip the fire, AKA the trouble. We didn't skip Jacob's trouble. We went through it, not waiting for it to begin. All right. So before honor comes suffering, before the crown comes the cross. We've been experiencing our suffering. We've been carrying our crosses. We're waiting to be saved out of it, right? Again, like I said, we must through tribulation enter into the kingdom, right? Let's go and get it, though. Let's go and get it. So we're going to go to Acts 14. Verse 22. Confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of the Most High. All right. So we know that in order to get to the kingdom, we have to go through much tribulation. We have to go through our trouble. We have to go through our time of trouble. And that's what we have been going through. All right. So the path to the kingdom is paved with tribulation. There's no easy route, no shortcut. Right. So this is why we must endure with patience and faith. All right. Endure with patience and faith. Let's get 2nd Ezra 7. Verse 6. And it reads, there is also another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field and is full of all good things. The entrance thereof is narrow and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand and on the left a deep water. You see, describing this walk, we've been going through our trouble. This is what this is talking about, our trouble. We have a troubled path, a difficult path to walk to get to the kingdom. All right. And so Ezra was shown a vision. All right. The kingdom is ours, but to enter it, we must walk a dangerous, narrow path. All right. So tribulation is the gate that leads to Zion. Tribulation and our tribulation and our trouble are the same things. We've been through our tribulation. We're not waiting for tribulation to happen to us. We've been through our trouble. We're not waiting for trouble to happen to us. We're waiting for it to end. All right? We are waiting for it to come to an end, to reach its conclusion, for our cup to be filled, for the curses to shift. All right? We're not waiting for a time period where the curses are going to ramp up on us. They're going to ratchet up a bunch. No, he's not waiting for an opportunity to turn up the fire on us. We're in the fire. We're waiting for him to pluck us out. All right. Luke chapter 9, verse 23. Right. And it reads, and he said to them all, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it. But whosoever will lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it. So Yahawashi didn't just suffer for us, right? He showed us the way we must walk. He was the example. His life and his death was our example, right? So every true disciple must carry their cross, meaning we must endure trials, rejection, affliction for his name's sake. Again, what do you think we've been going through all this time? You think we're waiting for this time period to come? You really think that? All right. That's crazy, right? Because we are at the end of Jacob's trouble, right? And the beginning of our enemy's trouble. That's what we're looking forward to. For our trouble to end and theirs to begin, not for ours to begin. Okay. So the Most High wants us to be comforted with the truth that, okay, yeah, you have gone through this trouble. Now understand what I have waiting for you on the other side. See, I want you to endure, and I'm going to help you to endure the trouble by letting you know what's waiting for you on the other side of the trouble. All right. He's not telling us that, yeah. After your trouble, there's a greater time of trouble coming. And then after that time of trouble, then, I'm going to save you and bless you. It's not what he said. He's trying to strengthen our hands right now, confirm our feeble knees right now in our trouble. All right. He wants our hearts set on our salvation, not on the time of trouble to come. All right. So let's go back to Second Ezra, chapter 6, verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the part and asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand first held the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. All right. So we're waiting for their world to end and ours to begin. Their world, right? Their rule is our time of trouble. Our great time of oppression happens under Esau's rule. So we're not waiting, for his and our expectation is not for right now at this time for Esau's kingdom to be extended. It's for it to end. We have been experiencing great trouble under these people, under this man. And we're waiting for the beginning of our world to happen. All right, for theirs to end and ours to begin, for the seesaw to go the other way, for them to come down and us to go up. We're already down. We're not looking for a day when we go even lower. We can't go lower, man. We're already down. We're already at rock bottom. We're waiting to spring up. That's the hope. Right? So we are at the tail end of Esau's world, his reign, his rule. Right? Their system is collapsing. So Jacob's trouble has been ongoing since 70 AD, but now our trouble, but now their trouble is about to begin, right? As the kingdoms of this world fall, and that's what they're doing. We're calling for this world to fall all the time. Every time you brothers say in the ball, what are you calling for? You ain't calling for Jacob's trouble. You causing for our enemy's trouble, calling for our enemy's trouble, right? So you recognize that we are in trouble, right? We're experiencing our trouble, right? All right. Let's go to Isaiah 51, verse 21. Therefore, hear now this, thou afflicted and drunken, but not with wine. Thus saith thy Lord Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi, and thy power that pleadeth the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out of thine hand the cup of trembling, right? Meaning it's already in our hands. We're not waiting for him to give it to us. We're waiting for him to take it from us. And he's speaking as if it has already happened because this is a prophecy of what will happen, right? We're waiting for the cup of trembling to be taken out of our hand, even the dregs of the cup of my fury. Thou shalt no more drink it again. We're waiting for him to take out of our hand the dregs of the cup of his fury. All right. But I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee. This is what we're waiting on. This is where we are in prophecy. We're waiting for the cup to be taken from us and to be given to them. We're not waiting to receive the cup. Man, we're licking the cup right now. And we're waiting for him to say, okay, stop that. You know, sometimes my son will be eating something that's so good, man, that boy started licking the bowl. And I got to look over like, boy, what are you doing? Got to take the bowl from him. Like, man, if you don't go put that damn bowl in the kitchen, stop licking the damn bowl, man. What the hell's wrong with you? Right? That's us, man, as Israelites, man. We're licking the cup, man. We're taking all of it down. We're waiting for him to say, that's enough. Give me that damn cup. Right? Give me that cup. That's enough. That's what we're waiting for. Not for him to give us the cup. We're waiting for him to give them the cup. All right. But I will put it in the hand of them that afflict thee. This is what we're supposed to be praying for, not for Jacob's trouble to hurry up and come. We're waiting for our trouble to end and for theirs to begin. Right? To put into the hand of them that afflict thee, which have said to thy soul, bow down that we may go over. And thou hast laid thy body as the ground and as the street to them that went over. This happened to us, man. These people have been walking all over us for a long time, and we're waiting for it to come to an end, not to get worse, not to go through a greater time of this happening. We're waiting for it to end and for them to get their turn. All right. So the cup is about to pass from us to them. Our chastisement is coming to an end. Their judgment is beginning. All right, so hold on. Salvation is near, not Jacob's trouble. Salvation is near, Israel. All right, we are in our captivity. All right, so, again, our trouble is ending, theirs is beginning. Our captivity is ending, theirs is beginning. Our judgment is ending, theirs is beginning. All right, but while we're still here, still living in our captivity, all right, and enduring, we have instructions for how to live, right? Right, all through the Gospels. That's where we're getting our updated instructions on how to live. But we can also take some clues from the prophets. All right, Jeremiah 29, verse 4. Thus saith Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi of hosts, the God of Israel, unto all that are carried away captives, whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem unto Babylon. All right, cyclical prophecy, right? What goes around comes around. It's happening again. We were carried away from our land and we are in Babylon, modern day, right? So build ye houses and dwell in them, and plant gardens and eat the fruit of them. This is what we had to do while we were in our captivity in Babylon. We built houses, right? We planted gardens, right? We were told to eat the fruit of our labor. Now, right? This is our instructions for captivity, right? It says, take ye wives and beget sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, that ye may be increased there and not diminished. This is what we were supposed to do in our captivity, right? But now our captivity is ending. So now we got different instructions, right? But continue on, verse 7. And seek the peace of the city whither I have caused you to be carried away captives. All right. And pray unto the Lord for it, for in the peace thereof shall ye have peace. All right. Again, these were instructions for a different time, though, right? For the different stage under Babylon. We are now at the end. So now we're not praying for this place. We're not praying for the United States of America to prosper and to be blessed. We're praying for it to be destroyed, for it to end. So we have shifted. This is why I wanted to show you, right? There were instructions given to us in captivity, but not everything applies, for all time. There are seasons, right? There are times for things. There's a time and a place for everything, right? You've all heard that, right? So some instructions can apply now, but you got to, through the Spirit, understand which instructions apply now, right? Which apply later, which applied for a time that's past. All right. And so we are to live wisely, though, and peacefully in our captivity, not rising up violently or foolishly. Stay out of the streets. Stop protesting. Understand that all of these things that are happening in the world, this is the Most High's business. Stop trying to protest his business. See, that's what you're doing. When you go out there to protest, right, you're really out there protesting the Most High. You don't like his business. You don't like the way he's conducting his business, right? And so you're trying to fight against him, and you're going to lose, right? Or we were to work, raise families, obey righteous laws, and wait on Yahawah for deliverance. So we're still waiting on him for deliverance, right? We're still working and raising our families and obeying righteous laws, right? But we are waiting for this thing to end. We're no longer praying for this place. We're calling out for the destruction of it. All right, let's go to Micah 7, verse 7. It says, therefore I will look unto the Lord Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi. I will wait for the power of my salvation. My God will hear me. See, this is where we're supposed to be. This is the mindset, the spirit we're supposed to be in. Looking unto our power, right? Waiting for the God of our salvation, all right? Knowing, trusting that he hears us in our trouble. Trusting that his plan is to save us, not to put us in a deeper state of trouble, right? Rejoice not against me, O mine enemy. When I fall, I shall arise. When I sit in darkness, Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi shall be a light unto me. I will bear the indignation of Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi because I have sinned against him until he plead my cause. This is where we're waiting for, right? We're waiting for him to plead our cause. We're bearing his indignation. We're bearing our trouble. We're not waiting for our trouble to begin. We're bearing his indignation, which means we are bearing our trouble because we have sinned against him, waiting until he pleads our cause and execute judgment for us. He will bring me forth to the light, not to trouble, to the light, and I shall behold his righteousness. Yes, you have many of our people who are going to continue to die, but that's not Jacob's trouble beginning. That's the continuation of Jacob's trouble. All right? That's the continuation of it. It's not a new time because otherwise, then you're saying that our people have not been getting killed and dying all of this time, and we're waiting for a period when we're going to start dying. When we've been on top all this time, and we're waiting for a period when we come down to the bottom. Right? That's what you're saying. If you're saying we're waiting on Jacob's trouble, you're saying that our lives have been amazing. They've been great. And we haven't been through trouble. We're waiting on our trouble to come. We're waiting on the Most High to start judging us and start killing Israelites. Man, he's already been starting judgment at his house. We've been getting judged for the longest. Our people have been getting slaughtered, been getting killed, right? This has been happening to us. We're not waiting for it to start. We're waiting for it to stop. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. That's the hope that's set before us, for us to be saved out of trouble. And that's where we are. We are in trouble, resting on the assurance that we're going to be saved out of trouble. Right? He says, he will bring me forth to the light, and I shall behold his righteousness. This is what we're waiting for. So we are enduring punishment for our own sins. All right. And we got to bear it patiently until he vindicates us and saves us. All right. But we will be saved out of it. So, but we got to stay faithful and we got to hold fast. Right. Let's go to Revelation chapter 2, again, remembering that all of these are letters to the churches, the seven churches, which means the seven different spiritual categories that Israelites fall under. So all of us who are of Israel, we all fall under one of these 7 spiritual categories. All right, one of these 7 spiritual groupings. But let's get the message to the church of Ephesus. I'm sorry, Smyrna. Yeah, Smyrna. Verse 10, it says, "Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer," because those who are of the church of Smyrna, they're going to have to suffer some things. All right, there is some suffering that's going to happen for them. All right, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. All right, it may turn out that you are among that spiritual group. All right, and if you are, your instructions are, be thou faithful unto death, and you will be given a crown of life. All right, so tribulation will intensify before deliverance, but it's not going to begin. It's just going to intensify. So we're not waiting on Jacob's trouble to begin. We're just waiting for the crescendo, right? For it to intensify right before it ends. All right. And so, but Yahawashi promised us, right? Stay faithful even unto death, and you will wear the crown. So if we find ourselves in this group, right, being persecuted, having to suffer for righteousness' sake, be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. That's his promise. You see, he constantly lets us know that, on the other side of your persecution, on the other side of your trouble, there's a reward for you. See, because that's supposed to give you endurance. That's supposed to gas up your tank, right? To help you get through that rocky time, that time of trouble. All right, let's go to Psalm 37. We're almost done, everybody. Thanks for rocking. All right. Psalm 37, verse 9. For evildoers shall be cut off, but those that wait upon Yahawah Bahashem Yahawashi, they shall inherit the earth. And that's where we are. We are waiting while evildoers are being cut off. Those of us who love him, we're waiting upon him, right? And our promise is that we shall inherit the earth. So look around. We see we are in the midst of trouble, and the evildoers of our people are being greatly troubled, and they are being cut off. But those of us who are striving for righteousness, thirsty for righteousness, right? We're waiting upon our Lord, right? So that we can inherit the earth. So again, to summarize, right? Jacob's trouble began after 70 AD. All right. Well, truthfully, it began just before 70 AD. All right, because the Romans began to encamp around about Jerusalem before 70 AD. That's just when it officially fell. All right, the fight began right before. I think it was like in 66 AD, something like that, where it began when they first came and started surrounding Jerusalem, and the standoff began. Everything started to kick off at that time. But then in 70 AD, that's when it fell. All right. So I guess you can say that no, it started just before 70 AD. We just more readily recognize 70 AD because we know that's when Jerusalem fell. But there was a fight, though, for a while before it fell. There was a period of a standoff before the fight started, right? With them encamping around about the city, around the people, and putting up a threatening posture. All right. But again, we are at the end of it, though, right? So we're waiting for deliverance, not for it to begin. All right. So tribulation, affliction, and suffering are necessary before glory, and we've been going through it. We're not waiting for it to happen to us. We're waiting for it to end. All right. We must endure, carry our cross, and be refined in the furnace. This is what we have to do while we're in our trouble. All right. So our enemy's trouble is just beginning. All right. Esau's world is ending. Our calling is to be patient, to live holy, endure faithfully, to wait for Yahawah, to trust in Yahawashi, right? To be thankful. All right. All of these things, and to be praying for his will to be done. And his will isn't for us to go through a greater time of trouble than we've ever experienced before as a people. He's not preparing a greater time of trouble for us. He's preparing a greater time of trouble for our enemies than they've ever known. Not for us. The curses are switching. They're removing from us and going upon them. All right. So again, when you hear these brothers out here trying to teach you that, we're waiting on Jacob's trouble, they don't know what they're talking about. And they're going to keep making videos trying to speak against brothers like me. But what they can't do is they can't refute the truth. And if you have listened to this lesson and you still believe that we're waiting on a greater time of trouble, we're waiting on Jacob's trouble, then there's nothing that I can do for you. It's just your lot to be of that mindset, of that spirit. And many are not going to believe because they've been taught so many different times by so many different people. And they think that because so many people are saying it, that it has to be true, right? That the thing that most people are doing has to be the right thing. The thing that most people are saying has to be the true thing, has to be the right thing. That's not how it works. The straight gate, remember, right? Few there be that go in thereat. It's the least amount of people are going to be going through the straight gate. The least amount of people are going to be going the right direction. The least amount of people are going to be teaching the right things and saying the right things and believing the right things. The few. All right. So again, that's it. That's all for this one. All right. All praise, honor, and glory belongs to our Heavenly Father, Yahawah, and our Heavenly King, Hamashiach, Yahawashi, thanking them for the outpouring of their spirit, thanking them for the comfort of the scriptures, for the knowledge and wisdom that they have given us to be the stability of our times and the strength of our salvation. So we rest in him. All right. We abide in him. We abide in the truth. All right. We are waiting for our salvation, not for our trouble. I'll see you guys on the next one, Yahawah willing. Somebody else out there needs you to pass this along to them, to help teach them, to help enlighten them because they're in the dark. So each one reach one. Again, I'll see you guys on the next one, Yahawah willing. Shalom.